السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على خير المرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم لا سهل إلا ما جعلته سهلا، وأنت تجعل الحزن إن شئت سهلا. اللهم اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. أما بعد، أمسينا وأمسى الملك لله والحمد لله ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله. أمسينا على فطرة الإسلام وعلى كلمة الإخلاص وعلى دين نبينا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى ملة أبينا إبراهيم حنيفا وما كان من المشركين. اللهم أنت ربنا لا إله إلا أنت، اللهم أنت ربنا لا إله إلا أنت، خلقتنا ونحن عبيدك ونحن على عهدك ووعدك ما استطعنا، نعوذ بك من شر ما صنعنا، نبوء لك بنعمتك علينا ونبوء بذنوبنا فاغفر لنا فإنه لا يغفر الذنوب إلا أنت. اللهم اغفر للمسلمين والمسلمات والمؤمنين والمؤمنات الأحياء منهم والأموات. اللهم اغفر لآبائنا وأمهاتنا وإخواننا وأخواتنا وأبنائنا وبناتنا وأزواجنا وأصحابنا وسائر من له حق علينا يا رب العالمين. اللهم أرنا الحق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه، وأرنا الباطل باطلا وارزقنا اجتنابه. اللهم أعز الإسلام والمسلمين وأذل الشرك والمشركين يا رب العالمين. اللهم آمين آمين. Inshallah, as this is the first lecture or the first Jum'ah lecture after Ramadan, and we go back to where we stopped, and that is going over Kitab اقتضاء الصراط المستقيم مخالفة أهل الجحيم لشيخ الإسلام ابن تيمية رحمه الله تعالى. وإحنا في المختصر, we're doing the abridged version. And the importance of this subject or this book, going over this book, even though we don't stick to the book all the time, and we try to relate it to contemporary issues that relate it to day-to-day world events and our reality, the reality that we live in and what's going on, because it will be irrelevant, or it will be, in my opinion, will be useless to go over any text and not taking the opportunity to relate it to day-to-day and relate it to the circumstances and the situations that the Ummah is living through. Then what's the point, right? And this book was, I think, the second or the third book that we went over since the beginning of the issue with Gaza, and how the world clearly unsealed its fangs and showed its reality, the Western world, how all the principles that they were supposedly standing for all fell apart, as we have seen and we still see in Gaza, and as we see it also in Iran going on right now. But we also had seen it so many times prior. But many people were stuck with the narrative and stuck with the media that is controlled by such so-called civilization, but rather atrocity. Yeah, that was important to talk over this, to go over this book, because it's, unless you decolonize, and this word, I know you have been hearing it a lot, and we need to continue mentioning it, and we need to continue until we free our minds and free our hearts from the system that intends to enslave us and intends to keep us subservient and keeps us servant and slaves to it. we will never be able to break out of it. And if we never break out of it, we will never be able to fulfill what Allah wants from us. Just like that. That's the bottom line. And this is why we pick what we pick to talk about. It might not be as exciting as many people want, topics-wise. A lot of people want, not to belittle or undermine any other subject. Anything related to the deen is of interest. And anything related to the deen can be interesting. And anything related to the deen is needed, right? But there is prioritizing. There are things that you might need and you can easily access on your own. And there are things that you might not be able to, you might need and you don't know that you need. So you need someone to take your hand and guide you into it. Yeah. And there are a lot of things that you might need and you don't know how to get to it, and you know you need it. So stuff like that. So we try to fill gaps, and we try to fill up or to meet some of those needs. And I believe that at this time it's very important to start emulating, or to start to make a tawaf around the idea of that if we want to succeed or be successful in fulfilling what Allah wants from us, we have to be able to break off the system of al-Tawud. And when we say Tawud, literally we mean everything that is opposing to Allah Azza wa Jalla. You cannot, the idea of, let me get the best of both worlds, that doesn't work here. This is promoted as an idea, as a fascinating idea. Get the best of both worlds. In reality, what that translates into hypocrisy. Getting the best of both worlds is hypocrisy. You want to get from those people, you want to get from those people. And when Allah talks about the munafiqeen in the Quran, He said if they fight with you, and if you win, they tell you, we need what's our return, because we were with you. And if the kuffar win, then they go to the kuffar and say, we slowed them down by being there. So this is how you want the best of both worlds. That is not an Islamic principle. You want the best for your deen and for your dunya and akhirah. And that best must be within boundaries. And those boundaries Allah Azza wa Jal had drawn for you. Allah has set for you. We don't have the mind or we don't have the freedom that anything goes and the end justify the means. The Muslims do not think like that, right? We're not Machiavellians as the Westerns are, or we're not godless people. When you're godless and you think you're God, then you can do whatever you want. And for you at the end, if you reach your goals, it doesn't matter how you got there. In Islam, it doesn't work like that. In Islam, actually, the idea in Islam completely demolished this mindset, from the roots, because in Islam doesn't worry about the outcome. Islam doesn't hold you accountable for the outcome, as long as you do your job. The result everything is in the hands of Allah, including the results. And even you hear some people, a lot of Muslims say, and I do my part and the rest in the hands of God. The whole thing is in the hands of God. Whatever you do, you yourself and the rest of it, and the result is in the hands of Allah. Don't separate. I do my part and the result in the hands of Allah. But what they mean by that, if we need to correct this mentality, we say we do what we're supposed to do, and we leave the results up to Allah. That's totally different than to say, I do my part and the rest is in the hand of Allah. No, it's all in the hands of Allah. Whatever effort you make is in the hand of Allah, as well as the result is in the hands of Allah. But what the outcome that Allah wants, that's what will happen. And this is how we function. That's why being so concerned about the result should not be the things that worry the believer. فأنت مثلا النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم comes and tells you in the hadith إذا قامت القيامة وفي يد أحدكم فسيلة فليغرسها. If the day of judgment comes, you see the day of judgment happening, and you're holding a little tree, or you're holding a fasila or a little branch, plant it. And you plan to plant it, continue planting it. And now the idea is, well, when will it grow if the day of judgment is happening? The day of judgment, everything will be wiped out. When will it grow? When will it give fruits? When will it give shade? When will it give wood? When? That's none of your business. Yeah? And they do the job, do the work. Yeah? Do the work. The outcome, Allah decides if He gonna give it or not. But you as a believer, you're gonna make your best effort. You're gonna be sincere. You're gonna follow the way Allah Azza wa Jal wants you to follow. Yeah? And what happens after that, that's up to Allah Azza wa Jal. You don't go to a battle worrying about victory. You go to the battle, worrying about, did I do what I need to do? Fulfilling the order of Allah. Allah doesn't tell you, be victorious. Allah tells you, jahid. Allah tells you, go fight, or strive, or struggle. But He doesn't tell you, be victorious. Because that's up to Him, subhanahu wa ta'ala. You might get, with the effort, without the results that you were seeking, a reward bigger than the reward that if you would get the result you were seeking. فإحنا at the end of the day, you want to give victory to the deen of Allah. You want prosperity for the deen of Allah. You want greatness for the ummah of Islam, right? You want power for Islam. That's all great. But if all you're going to think about the end result, most probably you're going to stop working. Because when you look around and you look at the situations, and you look at the conditions that are taking place, you say, look, how much can I work to even move the ummah? I'm one person, what can I do? Right? Or when you look how the ummah is weak, and how the enemies of Islam are so powerful, and how they're oppressing Muslims, how they're killing Muslims right and left, and nobody can even say a thing to them. And you say, I have 50 more years to live, 40 more years to live, 30 more years to live. Like whatever I do, how much is that going to change in the scales of power? So you stop. Because all you're worried about is the end result. Whereas you shouldn't be worried about that. What you need to be worried about is what Allah wants from you at the moment. Allah wants from you to be a Muslim. Allah wants from you to be a good Muslim. Allah wants you to be obedient. Allah wants from you to make an effort. Allah wants from you to strive. وَالَّذِينَ جَاهَدُوا فِينَا لَنَهْدِيَنَّهُمْ سُبُلَنَا. There are Sahaba that, as Khabbab radiallahu anhu said, when he talked about Mus'ab ibn Umayr. Mus'ab ibn Umayr radiallahu anhu was one of the richest young men in Mecca. And his mother had spoiled him so much to the point where he would not wear the same garment twice. And the misk and the perfume and the incense that he would be using, nobody had ever smelled before. And every woman was dying that he would marry in Mecca. That's in Jahiliyyah. That's before Islam. Yeah, just like Majd, right? He thinks that every woman is dying for him. Yeah. Mashkil. Need a psychologist. And then he became Muslim, and he became the first what? Mus'ab ibn Umair, the first what in Islam? The first ambassador in Islam. The Prophet ﷺ sent him to Medina. Before the Prophet ﷺ made hijrah. Yeah. And then Uhud comes. And he gets marked. That's the man would not wear the same garment twice. And then when they came to bury him, and they came to do kafan for him, that if they would cover his head, his feet will show. And if they cover his feet, his head will show. Because that's all he had. So the Prophet ﷺ at the end ordered them to cover his head and then put some kind of branches, some kind of plants to cover his feet. So Khabbab radiallahu anh, as Khabbab is talking about, after Allah has opened for the believers, after Muslims have conquered, after Muslims became, Allah opened the dunya for them. So he sits and he cries, and he said, some of us, like Mus'ab bin Umair, did not get anything from this dunya, like any reward from this dunya, as Allah has preserved it all for him from the akhirah. And here we are enjoying our dunya. Abu Hurairah used to get into salah. He would get epilepsy, literally, from hunger. He will faint from hunger, and he will start like shaking in the masjid of the Prophet ﷺ, to the point where a person will come and put his foot on his neck to calm him down. And then with the futuhat and with the Islam spreading and the Sahaba wal Ghanaim, all this thing, he one day he's sitting and he had some fever, so he sneezed. So he blows his nose in a tissue of silk. So he cried when he remembered where he was and where he is. You understand? Here a Sahabi like Mus'ab didn't see any of this. Hamza didn't see any of this. You know? But if they were sitting home and they became Muslim and all they thought about, when Islam becomes theirs and we're gonna get there, and they would have given up after Uhud. After that defeat, what's the chance? The whole world is against us. فأنت as a Muslim, you're gonna work. Even if you're alone, you're gonna do your best. You're gonna strive. You're gonna work hard on yourself. Whatever you can contribute, you contribute. Wherever you can make a difference, you make a difference. You don't sit idle. You're not satisfied with the effort you put, even if it seems to be great compared to other people's. And this is a big mistake that a lot of us make. When we come to see where we stand, we compare ourselves to those who are less than us. And that is a wrong way of thinking. When it comes to the dunya, that's what you do. You compare yourself, your conditions, to those who got less than you. But when it comes to the work for Allah Azza wa Jal, you always have to compare yourself to those who do more than you. So you can work hard, because this is a competition. This is a competition. Abu Muslim, one of the tabi'een, used to stand and in the salah praying at night until his feet cannot carry him anymore. And then he will say, and he will take his stick and start hitting his legs so the blood can flow again. And he will say, did the companions of Muhammad think that we will not compete with them or against them at the gates of Al-Jannah? So they were in that mindset. So until you work, you do your best, and you want to die on something like that. You want to die in a condition or in a state that you are serving Allah and serving the deen of Allah. Because the other kind of death is not pleasant. It's not pleasant to die doing nothing. It's not pleasant to die, al-'iyadhu billah, doing what Allah doesn't want you to. So you should have a goal, and that you want to die serving Allah Azza wa Jal, serving the haqq, serving the truth, serving justice, the way Allah wants. The way Allah wants. And that will not happen as long as you accept for yourself to be a slave of the system. That will not happen as long as you measure success the way they have, or the way they want you to measure success, your enemies, the enemies of Allah. As I was saying today in the khutbah about Islam, that we fail as Muslims with ourselves before others when we represent Islam or present Islam as a religion. So you might say, well, Islam is not a religion. Yeah, Islam is a religion. But the problem is the definition of religion in the world we live today. The definition of religion is different than what religion means to you as a Muslim. And that is not only in the minds of those in front of you, but also that seeped into your own mind. I mean, look at Muslims today. Right? He's a Muslim inside the masjid. Outside the masjid has nothing to do with Islam. When it comes to halal haram, he tells you, please, brother, it's like, we're in the 21st century and we're in America, and you come and you tell him this way of business is haram. Brother, we need to grow, and don't tell me halal or haram. We need to become strong, right? And then if you think about it, he pretends that he wants to become strong for the ummah, but why he wants to be strong for his own pocket? We need to start promoting Islam as a religion without explaining what religion means to the Muslim. That's very important, and that's what makes a difference. Because if you're going to present Islam as a faith in the sense of rituals, well, every religion has rituals. And many religions might have more focus on rituals than Islam itself. Right? I mean, if you want to compare rituals, Islam to Buddhism, you will find Buddhists more committed ritually, even though it's like they worship the belly guy, big belly guy, yeah? But they're more, if you think about it, they're more committed. Not to say all of them more committed than all Muslims, but when it comes to their monkship or monks, they're very committed, in dalal, in falsehood. That's not like to praise it, but you give credit whenever it's deserved. So when we talk about Islam as a religion, we need to tell people what religion means to us before even we talk about Islam. I mean, they're intertwined, but in the sense, tell them, Islam is my religion, but let me tell you what Islam means when it talks about religion. Because they had made religion as, like, honestly, religion in the West or in the Kafir world today is kind of it's kind of an embarrassing thing. Like, I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but it is. How? Today, in a lot of instances, to say you're religious, a lot of people will hide away or shy away. A lot of people will not say that. But let me ask you, how many instances that you had to go pray, whether you're in class, you're in school, you're at work, you're in a meeting, and you felt shy to tell people that you need to go to pray? Let's not lie to each other. I tell you, I had those feelings before. I mean, you hit a point where, what should I be shy? You were in the airport and you need to pray. You don't feel shy, you like to pray. Like us. But if you have someone else with you, you have no problem. But by yourself, you feel shy. Scared maybe. Not that you're embarrassed of your religion or your faith or your prayer, right? But you still have not developed that thing. But a lot of it has to do with how those around you perceive religion. فأنت مثلا you went to Umrah and you were away from the Haram, you were shopping, and it's time to pray, and you don't see any masjid. Will you have the same feeling you will have? Or forget about Umrah. If you were in Istanbul airport compared to Miami airport, and you need to pray, and I bet you will not have the same feelings. In Istanbul airport, you can pray anywhere. You say this is Muslims here, or most people around Muslims, and even if the kuffar are in a Muslim country, so who cares about it? But when it's reversed, you feel, because of the way religion is perceived. So we need to change that. We need to teach them what religion means to us. That it's not only ritual, right? And the reason we have this feeling is because of what we believe those around think of religion. Those kuffar, the way they think, oh, it's cute. Oh, I need to go pray. Oh, that's very cute. I'm religious. Very cute, right? It's cute. Usually cute, supposedly like the abnormal thing, right? That's like not the mainstream thing. Oh, it's cute. Cute to be gay, you know? Something like that. Huh? Like I remember the sticker, right? It's on a bumper, on a car. It's cute to be straight. Look like they want to reverse it, but it's like the idea. You got the idea, huh? Oh, it's cute. Oh, nice. Oh, sweet. And you find those, especially those Christian young guys. Tim Tebow, or whatever his name is. You remember Tebow? You know, the UF guy, the Gators, huh? The religious guy, and then somehow he failed with NFL, and he became like, it's like, it looks like very admiring to be religious, young, handsome, and strong, and then religious. That's they stick it in there, as you know. But that's not how it is for a Muslim. That is the norm. Like, to be religious is not an option. You know, to be religious is mandatory. And then we need to talk about the definition of religious. Like, what does it, for them, what does religious mean compared to us? So the bottom line is, for them, religious, religious, he might show you giving a speech in a church, but the next post he put is in a nightclub, or he's hanging out with his girlfriend, or with his kids from outside the wedlock. You understand what I'm saying? But it happens that he goes to church, or he works with charitable organization. For us, it's not like that. So when we talk about religious, we mean it's a way of life. When we talk to them, and before we talk to them, we need to free our mind from that. Because exactly what I'm telling you about the non-Muslims exactly has leaked into the Muslim mindset. The Muslim mindset, a lot of our societies, a lot of our communities, a lot of the members of our communities in the West and in the East, in the non-believers' land and in the Muslim land, have been influenced by this. And even in Saudi itself, in Saudi Arabia, in Mecca and Medina, even they have specific names, and to a degree, it's a derogatory terms. It can reach a level of derogatory when they talk about religious people. And what they mean by religious people, someone who grows his beard, and maybe his tope will be above his ankle, and he goes to the masjid, and he seeks knowledge. So they will call him Mtawwar, Asian Mtawwar. And a lot of time it comes out in sarcastic way. Seriously. That's what I'm talking about. That is a Muslim. That's maybe in one of the most religious places you can find in the world. Literally, those who hold tight to the deen will be called names by the rest of the society. And why is that? You look at the Prophet ﷺ, he comes and he tells you, إِذَا أَتَاكُمْ مَنْ تَرْضَوْنَ دِينَهُ وَخُلُقَهُ فَزَوِّجُوهُ. If someone proposes to your woman that you accept his deen and his manners, then accept. So he comes to his deen. So he put religiosity first. Yeah? Then he tells you about the woman. And you choose. قَالْ تُنْكَحُ الْمَرْأَةُ لِأَرْبَعٍ إِمَّا لِدِينِهَا وإما لمالها وإما لنسبها وإما لجمالها فعليك بذات الدين تربت يدك. A woman gets married, gets picked for marriage for one of four reasons: her beauty, her wealth, her lineage, or her deen. I'll win with the one with the deen. If you get the one with the deen, take her. So here you have Allah Azza wa Jal and His Messenger, the deen of Islam, putting preference or giving preference in treatment for those who are closer to the deen. And then when you live in a society, in a Muslim society today, that they mock those who are closer to the deen. Like, where did they get that? They get that from the colonizations that we're talking about. Because that is what the Western mindset is. They make fun of the religious people. Or being religious is a cute thing, is abnormal. وطبعا usually the colonized and the imitator, right, will add a notch when he imitates to show loyalty to the one he's imitating. So he gonna go a little bit more extreme. If the Westerner will consider someone religious cute, either the Eastern or the Muslim so-called, the deluded or the deceived Muslim who wants to imitate him, he will go and he will consider Muslim, he will mock the religious. Literally. That's what they always do. We need to clarify things. A lot of things need to be redefined. Terminologies need to be re-explained. And new meanings need to be developed and need to be adopted. Then we can make difference. Then we will be able to be on the right path to make a change. And I think today we are, the war is a war of al-wa'i. It's a war of awareness. It's a war of awareness. If we can manage to get the minds open, if we can get people to start understanding what things really mean, I think that's a big milestone on our journey toward realizing the purpose we are here for. But if we continue to define things the way that we were told to be, we were told by those who have clearly shown that they're not concerned about our best interest. If we're going to continue to see things through their lens and define things through their dictionaries and through their definitions and through their explanations, I don't think we're moving anywhere. And this is bottom line of awareness against unawareness. This is the bottom line of continue to be deceived by your enemy or separate yourself from your enemy. Just like the project we're embarking. Whether it works out, it doesn't work out, who cares? But the idea is, if the halal homes I'm talking about, right? The idea is, and don't get stuck with halal homes, but the idea is, we want halal ownership, right? Well, if we know that the system is completely, totally relying on riba, and then we want a halal way through this system, then we will get nowhere. we will get nowhere. You cannot throw someone in the water and tell him don't get wet. Or throw someone in the fire and tell him don't get burned. There's no way. So I'm gonna come and I'm gonna give you a choice, but we're gonna continue with the system. But we're gonna get the money through the bank, and we're gonna pay the money back to the bank, and we're gonna use the means of the bank, and we're gonna do the contracts of the bank, and we're gonna do credits of the bank, but we're gonna keep it halal. How can you do that? They won't even allow it. Like literally, any so-called Islamic financing out there, when you come to closing, you will sign a contract that is 100% like any other contract if you would close using Bank of America or Chase. The same exact contract. It will have interest rate, it will have mortgage, it will have conditions, it will have every single thing. And then when you ask why, they tell you it's double. It's double. If an institution giving a loan to someone to buy a property and then he has to pay it back, he has to sign by such contracts. These are the regulations, right? So there is no way you can protect yourself from the haram using the haram system. It just doesn't work. Logically, it doesn't work. Well, you take this idea, the same thing you apply to the prosperity of Islam, to the victory of Islam, to the rising of Islam. Today we have charity organizations want to do something for the Muslims, and they follow the ways the kuffar do things, and they fall in haram right and left, and yet at the end he tells you, but it's for a good cause. This is how the kuffar think. This is how the kuffar think. It's for a good cause, so it doesn't matter the means. As long as the outcome is good, as long as the result is good, then it doesn't matter. طبعا the kafir doesn't have halal or haram. You have halal or haram. Like literally today you will have Muslims, and they might be, again, to a degree religious, that they will promote or they will organize events to collect money for Gaza, for example. Okay. Now you look at the event, it might be they're bringing in a famous singer. Like a famous singer, a famous Arab singer with his full crew, right? They might conduct a dinner, invite people who got money from the community and do fundraising, and bring someone to give a speech, right? But that dinner in itself will have mixing, will have music, will have men and women mingling, will not have dress code, might even have hookah. They might be serving hookah and nargila, right? Seriously. والله طيب انت you wanna help Gaza. طيب انت why you're harming yourself? ما at the end of the day, whatever money you're gonna collect, inshallah it's gonna help Gaza. But انت you harmed yourself in the process. إن الله طيب لا يقبل إلا طيب. And this is a rule. And this rule solve a lot of problems. إن الله طيب لا يقبل إلا طيب. Allah is good, only accept that which is good. And you cannot achieve good with Allah by following a path that Allah does not agree with, that Allah forbids. And if you want to obey Allah, you have to go, if you want to reach a goal that is in itself obedience to Allah, it has to be done in a way that is obedience to Allah. You cannot disobey Allah to obey Allah. And always, whenever I talk about this, comes to my mind a story when a woman got her husband killed. So she looked for a hitman to to kill the guy who killed her husband. Hitmen. Those people kill for money. That's their job. You know, like the American government. Yeah. So she finds a hitman. So she tells him, this guy killed my husband unjustly, and I want you to finish him. He said, no problem. Our charge is 100 dinar. I charge this amount of money. She said, my husband just died and he didn't leave me much. I really don't have anything. He said, no problem. We kill him for fi sabilillah. You know? Yeah, we're going to kill him for the sake of Allah. You know, you don't do it. There's no, you're going to kill someone for the sake of Allah, just on your own. You understand? A lot of people think this way. A lot of Muslims think this way. He will throw a concert, you know, for whoever he's going to bring, an artist or what, or artista, whatever it is, right? And the funding is for Gaza. The funding is for Yemen. The funding is for Sudan. طيب الكافر, if kafir does that, he doesn't know halal haram. You know halal haram. You know? And this is something we have to be aware of. That if we want to have power, we have to separate from the system that oppresses us and compresses us and depresses us and keeps us down and controls us. You know? Well, this is why this book is important. Maybe people don't see it that way, but it is. It is because what this book talks about, or it focuses on, that there is a huge difference between those who want Al-Jannah and those who want those who are going to end up in Jannah and those who are going to end up in the hellfire. Those of As-Sirat al-Mustaqim and the inhabitants of the hellfire. There must be a difference. If the end result is different, that means the path must be different. If two people, one gonna end up in Jannah and one gonna end up in hellfire, those two people cannot take the same path, cannot be on the same path in life. That's why the book, اقتضاء الصراط المستقيم مخالفة أهل الجهل. إيش يعني following the straight path dictates, mandates, obligates those who take the straight path to be different and to oppose those of the hellfire. Because you take the straight path to go to heaven. This idea really must resonate and must be instilled in the hearts and the minds of the believers. Because it's only then you will be able to see your enemy from your friend. It's only then you will be able to distinguish between who wants good for you and who wants bad for you. And then you act accordingly. You treat each one accordingly. But if you will see no differences between yourself being on the straight path and those who are taking another path that will lead them to the hellfire, then eventually you're going to join them. Because their path is much easier. There's less resistance. Because the straight path is full of trials. It's full of hardships. Their path is so easy. Because everything goes. Everything goes. As I always say, if you take a nail and you wanna go ahead and nail it in a wall, right? If you go in an area where there's a stud and you go at the edge of it and you try to nail it, but you don't know, literally, the nail gonna shift, gonna drift to go into where there's no stud, because there's less resistance. And if whatever field you're in, if that is something close to what you do, you know what I'm talking about. Because I experienced that in my work. Because when I go and I want to drill that implant in the bone has different densities. And it always, if you don't know exactly what you want to do or what you need to do or where you need to be, and you just go start drilling, literally the drill gonna just drift toward the softer bone without you realizing. And then you go to put the implant in there and you take an x-ray, it's not even where I want it to be. Because the drill will take you where it's less resistance. Just like the hammer with the nail. And the path to hellfire, no resistance whatsoever. It's beautiful, literally beautiful. It's full of ornament, full of beautification, full of temptations, full of easy stuff. But the path of Al-Jannah is full of trials, challenges, hardships. That's why most people are in the hellfire. Clearly, the Prophet said, out of every 1,999 in the hellfire. Because most people do not want to work. Most people do not want to put any effort. But even if most people who work, like literally real work, if you give them the option not to work, but they still get the same money, how many people here will choose that? Oh well. Sure, most people will choose it. For their struggle and their effort must be exerted and put to achieve better outcome. And again, the reaching the outcome is not the point. The point is what Allah Azza wa Jal, is the fact that this is what Allah Azza wa Jal wants from you. All right. Okay. So this is like a quick review why we're going over this book. And you will see a lot of things like in this book, a lot of things that you might be wondering about, especially in the time that we live in a world that the kufr and the kuffar around us, everywhere. Yeah. So you need to know what is it you're allowed and you're not allowed, what is it, how you need to think, how you need to perceive, how you need to review, how you need to look at them, how you need to think of them and think of yourself. All these are important. All right. Last thing that before we conclude here, one of the things I noticed a lot of you guys like, when you pray by yourself, there's no sutra. You need to have sutra. It's the sunnah mu'akkada. It's like a confirmed sunnah of the Prophet that when you pray, you have something in front of you. All right? So either you pray close to the wall, so the wall is in front of you, right? And between you and the wall, when they talk about it, they tell you 3 dirham or 6 dirham or whatever. But you need enough space between you and the wall, between you and the column, or like in front of you, between you and the desk. Enough space where you can make sujood comfortably. But to stand in the middle of the masjid, or 2-3 lines in front of you empty, and then you start praying there, that is not in the sunnah way. That's not according to the sunnah. Right? Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam literally ordered that you take a sutra called sutra. With sutra usually is something to block you from being able to preview or to see what's in front of you, so you focus on your salah. But also it's important to prevent people from interrupting your salah by just walking right in front of you. But if you don't take sutra, and we know the hadith of the Prophet, if someone comes to walk in front of you in the salah, you should resist, you should fight them. Even if you have to fight them, push them. because that is shaitan wants to disrupt your salah. But if you don't take a sutra, then you don't have that justification. Because until you did not show him that you're praying, how do I know you're praying? You're just standing there, someone's standing there. The Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam always took sutra, always. And if he doesn't have a wall where he can pray to, or an object in front of him, big object, he will put a stick, like literally his staff, his cane. He will just put it in front of him. And even he said, and even if you don't have that, draw a line in the sand. You know? فأنت احنا يعني مسجد أهل السنة والجماعة، مسجد السنة والجماعة، مسجد السنة النبوي. So we need to stick to the sunnah. When people have ignored the obligations, والواجبات, احنا we need to revive the sunnah. Alright? And this to the imam as well as to the ma'mum. If you're praying as an imam, you want to have a sutra in front of you, and your sutra is the sutra of those behind you. That's why when there is jama'ah, it's permissible to walk in front of the lines, except the imam. And you cannot walk in front of the imam. But the lines behind the imam, it's okay to walk between them if you want to get from one side to the other. Because his sutra is the sutra for these people. But an individual person individually praying ma'muha, or a person by himself, you're not allowed to walk in front of him. So if someone did not take sutra, how far do I need to go? If someone praying in front of the door, the kitchen door, does not mean I cannot pass in front of him until the minbar. No. To the estimation, his sutra should be where he makes sujood. A little bit further. Beyond that, you walk. And if someone's standing on this line, and we know when he puts his head down, he will be before this thick line in there, then that thick line you can pass, and you will not be considered passing in front of someone who's praying. But the person who's praying needs to take, to be responsible, to take his sutra, so he can focus on his salah. He can fulfill the order of the Prophet ﷺ. He can be following the sunnah. And at the same time, he is considerate enough about his brother not to pass in front of him and commit a sin. Now let's stick to that, inshallah. The column can be sutra, the wall can be sutra, the desk can be sutra. A chair you put in front of you, that's sutra. Because it doesn't take much. جزاكم الله. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم.